I'm Therese Kettle, and you're watching CBX, Caribbean Business Exchange. Your region, your business, your source.
The time by Carrie Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The Business News headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible.
Strikes energy deals and LNG Canada fully online. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Thursday, November 6, 2025. I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast locally, Jamaica's private sector unites to lead economic recovery, launches emergency fund and business relief network. On the regional front, global energy giants secure offshore blocks in Suriname, strengthening the country's energy expansion. And over on the global stage, LNG Canada reaches full operation as Train 2 begins production, boosting exports to Asia. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after the
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
BESCO started from 5 shareholders who believe that they could execute a fuel company as good as or as better than any multinational. The director shareholders always believe that the dealers within our network should be owners of the company. They believe that staff should be owners of the company. And specifically, also believe that the public should become shareholders. That cannot be facilitated by a bank loan. Our experience so far has translated into additional customers. Our transparency has allowed us to access credit easier and at better rates. So if you're a private company thinking about growing your profits, having better access to capital, I really think you should consider listing on the junior or the main market. Go ahead, have that conversation as soon as possible. We did it and we were very happy.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never, ever, ever wanna calm down. Oh, no, no. Yeah, yeah.
So much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-9235-111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
Me grew up and see my granny save her money under her mattress.
Exactly.
Okay.
Your grandmother's house never burned down?
No, how you reached that, so? That was a one-off thing.
That could have happened to anybody. That's why you must put your money in a financial institution and protect it.
What if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in.
What you mean?
JDIC is a financial safety net which provides coverage for your money in case your financial institution fails.
Explain that to me.
Alright, because of the JDIC deposit insurance scheme, once you put your money into a financial institution like a bank or building society, you can get coverage of up to a maximum of $1.2 million per deposit of your financial institution if it should fail. And for even more information, you can visit their new website at www.jdic.org, and you can follow the social media platforms for the latest information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Fesco started from 5 shareholders who believe that they could execute a fuel company as good as or as better than any multinational. The director shareholders always believe that the dealers within our network should be owners of the company. They believe that staff should be owners of the company. And specifically also believe that the public should become shareholders. That cannot be facilitated by a bank loan. Our experience so far has translated into additional customers. Our transparency has allowed us to access credit easier and at better rates. So if you're a private company thinking about growing your profits, having better access to capital, I really think you should consider listing on the junior or the main market. Go ahead, have that conversation as soon as possible. We did it and we're very happy.
It feels so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It feels so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It feels so good right now. Don't ever, ever, ever wanna calm down. No, no, no.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
Has so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767. Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
The local news is brought to you by Derriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with the government's plan to revive local commerce as Jamaica moves from relief to recovery following Hurricane Melissa. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has unveiled an ambitious plan to restore local commerce and small business activity across Jamaica, describing it as the next critical phase in the country's recovery from Hurricane Melissa. Speaking during a post-disaster press briefing earlier today, Holness says the government's focus is now shifting from emergency relief to economic reactivation, beginning with measures to help small businesses reopen in hard-hit communities.
What is clear is that local commerce has been badly hit. The local shops are closed. The local pharmacies are closed. Markets are closed. We need to get those stood up. The private sector has a role to play in that, and I see where they have started. Getting the gas stations open, ensuring that the large distributors are open, the large supermarkets and wholesales are open, especially in the urban areas. I like that. But I also want the small shop in Adelphi or in Spring Mount or wherever else, that those shops reopen.
The Prime Minister says the Commerce Minister has been directed to fast-track a plan to reopen small shops and restore local trade.
Now, they can't reopen for one main reason. They don't have electricity. That's one. And the second is that supplies can't get to them. The distributive trade, which, by the way, is an incredible logistics operation. They supply thousands of shops every day with trucks going all over Jamaica. That has been hit. And they can't call to place orders, and some of them can't access cash. So I've asked the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce to develop a plan to support the small shops in communities right across Jamaica to get them up and running.
Meanwhile, the government has identified 50 generators to be loaned to small enterprises in the most impacted and remote communities.
One of the first things that we have done is we have identified some generators, and we're going to make those generators available we're going to start with 50 in the most impacted and remote communities. We will loan them the generators. But of course, there will be some requirements for compliance issues and to ensure that they are established operations that we can enter into cooperation with.
That was Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness. Jamaica's private sector has moved to formalize its disaster recovery operations, establishing a national emergency fund and a coordination center to streamline business continuity and relief logistics in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. At a post-disaster press briefing earlier today, Chair of the Private Sector Task Force, Keith Duncan, announced that the PSOJ, JMEA, and JCC have joined forces to establish a tax-free donation fund for affected communities.
We have established a National Emergency Operations Center within the private sector, and that is it is a coordinated effort at the private sector. The PSOJ, JME, and the JCC have joined forces to establish a tax-free donation fund along with the Council of Voluntary Social Services to purchase care packages on behalf of for our brothers and sisters who are in these communities.
At the same time, the three umbrella groups have activated a private sector emergency operations center to manage relief efforts.
The private sector groupings under the leadership of Mitra Siaga, Catherine Silvera, and Emile Leiber have set up an emergency operations center with the help of Lisa Suarez-Lewis to coordinate the efforts to, one, as a primary objective, to get businesses back up and running and economic activity going.
That was Chair of the Private Sector Task Force, Keith Duncan. In other news, the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, says it has restored electricity to more than half of its customer base following the widespread outages caused by Hurricane Melissa. JPS President and CEO Hugh Grant says over 55% of customers, equivalent to more than 380,000 households and businesses, are now back on the grid.
Right after the passage of Hurricane Melissa, we had in the order of 23% of customers in. To date, we have over 55% of customers in service. That's over 380,000 customers. We have been prioritizing our restoration around key areas, particularly areas that have critical customers, and that has been a coordinated effort with key partners.
That was JPS President and CEO Hugh Grant. Meanwhile, Minister of Energy, Telecommunications and Transport Daryl Vaz is reporting that Kingston and St. Andrew have achieved 83% internet accessibility, marking a major milestone in the nation's recovery efforts.
As of Thursday, November 6, Flow has restored 80% of pre-hurricane mobile traffic, with priority given to the hardest hit areas and key towns including Negril, Savlamar, Falmouth, Black River. Efforts are now focused on restoring mobile services in other less affected areas. For fixed internet, 42% of Flow customers are now online, with another 23% able to connect once power is restored. Kingston and St. Andrew has 83% of customers that can already access internet. That's important, Jamaica, because we are the epicenter in Kingston for government and for all sorts of relief. So having full service in Kingston and St. Andrew is very, very useful.
That was Minister of Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Daryl Vaz. And as Jamaica grapples with widespread housing and storage shortages following the devastation of Hurricane Melissa, the Realtors Association of Jamaica, RAJ, is urging property owners to step forward by listing vacant homes, apartments, and warehouses for rent to assist in national recovery efforts. RAJ President Gabrielle Gipling Hudson called for compassion and partnership, emphasizing that owners of idle properties are in a unique position to ease the country's displacement crisis. The RAJ's appeal follows mounting reports of severe damage to homes, small business facilities, and supply chains across several parishes. With thousands displaced and storage space critically low, the real estate sector's participation is being framed as a vital component of Jamaica's wider recovery strategy. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 110 stocks, of which 34 advanced, 54 declined, and 22 traded firm. The winners: Omni Industries, Margaritaville Turks USD, Caribbean Assurance Brokers, and G West Corporation ordinary shares. The losers: Knutsford Express Services, Consolidated Bakeries Jamaica, JFP Limited, and Radio Jamaica. The main index declined by 3,443.73 points, or 1.08%, to close at 316,738.21 points. The junior market index declined by 42.83 points, or 1.26%, to close at 3,347.48 points.
And it's time for Market Education Feature, brought to you by Carrie Chris, Regional Ratings, Global Standard.
In today's Market Education Feature, we're looking at the term sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis examines how changes in one factor affect another under a given set of assumptions. It's commonly used in business and economics to test how different scenarios, often called what-if situations, can influence financial or operational outcomes. By analyzing how key variables interact, companies can identify risks, uncover opportunities, and make better informed strategic decisions. This helps ensure that forecasts and recommendations are based on realistic and data-driven insights.
The Market Education Feature was brought to you by Carrie Chris, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Are so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, has launched its first U.S. $100 million social Amazonia bond. The issue comes under the IDB's new sustainable debt framework, created with Credit Agricole, CIB, as sole book runner and sustainable agent. The framework follows the ICMA Green and Social Bond Principles and the Amazonia Bond Issuance Guidelines. It also received an independent second-party opinion from Sustainalytics, confirming its strong environmental and social standards. Funds raised will support social projects across Latin America and the Caribbean. These include access to essential services, infrastructure, employment generation, and food security. Other priorities are cultural heritage, inclusive livelihoods, and state modernization. The Social Amazonia Bond marks a new step in the region's green and social finance agenda, channeling private capital toward climate resilience and inclusive growth. Suriname is drawing fresh global attention to its energy sector. Its national oil company, Statoil, has inked 2 new production sharing contracts with Petronas, Chevron, and Qatar Energy. The agreements cover blocks 9 and 10 in the country's offshore basin, a zone increasingly recognized for its vast hydrocarbon promise. The contracts were finalized under the post Shallow Offshore 2-bid round 2024 to 2025 held in June. Together, the blocks span more than 5,400 square kilometers, positioned between proven deep water discoveries and onshore producing fields. Under the new terms, Petronas Suriname will operate Block 9 with a 30% stake, alongside Chevron and Qatar Energy's 20% and Statoil affiliate Paradise Oil Company's 30% stake. For Block 10, Chevron takes the lead as operator, holding 30%, with Petronas Suriname and Qatar's Energy 30%, and Paradise Oil Company's 10% completing the partnership. Qatar's Minister of State for Energy Affairs and Qatar Energy CEO Saad Sharida Al-Kabi says the move expands the company's footprint to 7 offshore blocks in Suriname. Meanwhile, Petronas Vice President of Exploration, Faisal Bakar, welcomed the collaboration, describing it as a natural progression of the company's growing presence. In other news, the St. Kitts and Nevis Bureau of Standards has issued a mandatory national recall for the product Milonga cannabis-infused tea, yerba mate, in all flavors, after it was discovered for sale in local retail outlets without approval for trade or distribution in the Federation. Officials warn that the product label indicates it contains 10 milligrams of THC, the psychoactive compound found in cannabis. Under the Drugs Act, THC is a Class A controlled drug, making the product's sale and distribution illegal in St. Kitts and Nevis. The Bureau says the unauthorized beverage poses a serious risk to public health and safety, especially to children, as it has been found in supermarkets and bars. The recall is being enforced under the Bureau of Standards Regulations SRO 35 and 36, the Drugs Prevention and Abatement of the Misuse and Abuse of Drugs Act, and the Customs and Excise Act. Consumers are urged not to consume the tea and to dispose of it immediately. Retailers and distributors must remove all stock from shelves within 48 hours. Failure to comply will trigger enforcement action by the relevant authorities. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 21 securities, of which 4 advanced, 7 declined, and 10 traded firm. Today's winners are Trinidad and Tobago NGL, Massey Holdings, Calypso Macro Index Fund, and Unilever Caribbean, while leading the losers are NCB Financial Group, Ansa McCall, Agostini Limited, and Angostura Holdings. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index declined by 12.62 points to close at 1,367.06. The Composite Index declined by 8.76 points to close at 943.91. The Cross-Listed Index declined by 0.65 points to close at 68.70. The SME Index remained at 95.60. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up. Welcome back. In international news, LNG Canada has officially started production at its second liquefied natural gas processing unit, marking full operations at the country's first major LNG export terminal. The Shell-led project in Kitimat, British Columbia, now runs both its processing trains, each with a capacity of 6.5 million metric tons per year, bringing total output to about 13 million tons annually, or roughly 2 billion cubic feet of gas per day. The project, valued at over 40 billion Canadian dollars, gives Canada its first direct LNG export access to Asia and positions it as a new player in global energy markets. And from North America's west coast to Europe's tech corridor, Germany's software powerhouse is moving to avoid a major EU penalty. Europe's largest software company, SAP, is preparing to offer formal concessions to the European Commission to settle an antitrust investigation and sidestep a hefty fine. Regulators allege SAP restricted competition in the aftermarket for software maintenance by preventing customers from switching service providers and imposing steep reinstatement fees. SAP says its proposed remedies are meant to ensure transparency and customer choice, with the Commission expected to consult market rivals before issuing a final ruling. And over in the United States, a well-known fitness brand is facing more product troubles, this time affecting hundreds of thousands of users. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission has ordered Peloton Interactive to recall about 833,000 of its original Bike Plus models due to reports of seat posts breaking during use. 3 such incidents have been confirmed, including 2 injuries. The company is offering affected customers a free replacement seat post that can be self-installed. The latest recall follows a 2023 pullback of more than 2 million bikes over similar issues. Peloton's shares, already down 18% this year, slipped another 4% on the news. And finally, to the biotech sector, where vaccine maker Novavax is tempering expectations once again. Novavax has postponed its goal of turning profitable until 2028 after weaker COVID-19 vaccine demand hurt sales. The company cited a 20% decline in U.S. prescriptions amid confusing federal guidelines. The biotech firm now expects 2026 adjusted revenue between U.S. $185 and $205 million, less than half of market expectations. Shares dipped 1% on the update. Investor pressure is mounting, with major shareholder Shah Capital urging the company to consider a sale, arguing that Novavax would fare better under a larger pharmaceutical group. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side. In the local news, Jamaica's private sector unites to lead economic recovery, launches emergency fund. Regionally, global energy giants secure offshore blocks in Suriname, strengthening the country's energy expansion. And internationally, LNG Canada reaches full operation, Train 2 begins production. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.
I'm Dr. Hugh Blake, the Trade Administrator and CEO of the Jamaica Trade Board, and you are watching